I'm delighted to say I'm joined by one of the leading PDC referees, George Noble. Thanks for joining us, George. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, Alex. Sun's out, so it can't be bad. Yeah, very good.
Happy days. Well, before we look further back, let's start with last week, the Premier League finishing in Milton Keynes, and for the first time this year we had fans back in the venue for a PDC event. What was it like being back on the stage, but with a crowd there again with you?
Hotter. Actually, obviously, when there's bodies in the crowd, the venue becomes a little bit warmer for us on the stage. So, I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy not having a crowd, but I enjoyed probably the temperature conditions. It's much better with a crowd back. I think the players enjoy it more. I think it leads to better performances. It's just the whole atmosphere. I think obviously it comes across better on television. It's just, and it's great for the fans that have been loyal, have the opportunity to come back into the venues now. And I thought Johnny Clayton was absolutely superb in lifting the Premier League for the first time. He's a serious player now. Johnny's come from, believe it or not, he's still ranked outside the top. I think he's ranked 18th because he decided to obviously win the Masters, the Premier League and the World Cup, and none of them go on your rankings, I believe. Maybe I'm not sure about the World Cup, but I don't think any of them do actually. I think they're invitational tournaments. So yeah, he's definitely not he's definitely not the 18th best player in the world, that's for sure.
No, you're absolutely right. We did check actually. He's won more money in non-ranking events in the last 6 months than he's won in ranking events in the last 2 years. So that certainly backs up your point there. And we spoke with a few of your fellow referees, Russ Braham and Paul Hinks, last year in the midst of this pandemic. And as you say, we've had a lot of events behind closed doors. You mentioned there the heat is a lot different without having the fans there. But what was it like for you guys? Because you were still doing all the calls the same, the emphasis on the 180s, the 177s. Was it easier not having to worry about a crowd maybe getting out of hand, or did you miss that adrenaline that they provide being there?
I guess I've been doing it that long. It's sort of, to me, it was my actual what I would do refereeing the game. I've done exactly the same with or without a crowd, and obviously tried to come over. But they was feeding in manufactured crowd across the sound system. So although you knew it was there, it's quite weird because it basically it's on. I don't know if it come across on television, but when there was no crowd, they did obviously play crowd background noises, but it was a massive loop. So basically, it was the same. Although it might have lasted, I don't know how many hours, but you'd heard it before, if you know what I mean. It wasn't. So it was obviously artificial. It's definitely better with a real crowd.
Definitely is. And you called the second semi-final on Friday in the Premier League, and surprise, surprise, it goes to a deciding leg. We're going to come back to that a bit later, but Jose de Souza just getting the better of Nathan Aspinall. Jose making a few counting errors, taking out a 47 when he wanted 37. As a referee up there, what's it like watching a player go for the wrong shot?
Well, it's pretty normal for Jose, to be fair. You can see it coming because, he obviously was hit the wrong. No, I can't exactly recall what he hit the shot before, but I think he hit something like a 17 when he wanted 54. So I know he wants 54, but he never really asks. There is part of the rule where you can actually ask the ref what's left. Quite a few of the players actually do that, but he doesn't. And bless him, he hasn't really got a clue what's left anyway. So he just decides on something. Throws it, hits 17 to leave 37. I then obviously told him he wanted 37. He obviously didn't listen to me and finished 47. But he wouldn't be Jose about that, would he? He's a serious player, that's for sure. He must be the most improved player I've seen. Clayton probably is the most improved, but outside of Johnny Clayton, you'd have to say that Jose de Souza is right up there. His scoring ability is fantastic. I actually believe, his miscounts cost him matches. They cost him legs and inevitably will cost him matches against the top boys, the top echelon of you. Okay, I guess Van Gerwen and Price and people of that ilk, you basically normally only get one chance against them. And if a counting error, it is possible that he can lose matches for his counting. I think it's the only thing wrong with his game. Other than that, he just hits 180s for fun and just looks like he loves playing. I think he's a potential banana skin for any of the top boys. He really is one of the top boys now. So yeah, he's a great player.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, let's get back to you then, and let's rewind back to the start for you in darts. Growing up as a kid in the 70s and then into your teens in the 80s during that first big boom for darts on TV. Were you a fan right from the start?
Yeah, I used to play. I used to play quite seriously as a kid. Started off, played for Kent, and then I played for London. And as a junior, we won the Youth Cup, and then I actually knocked Wayne Mardell out of the British Teenage Championships a few years back. I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning that, will you, Wayne? But I used to play, and then I played. So I mean, I was always a player. So I always, I wanted to be a player, but I never made to be the player that you aspire to. I guess look, I love watching. I love Bristow. I knew her since I guess I was probably 13 years old, and I knew him very well. But he was one of my heroes. I love Bristow, and I like Wilson, Rocky Wilson. So I used to watch. I was an avid watcher, and I used to go whenever I could. And then I guess then I realised that I still like darts, but I actually realised fairly early on I wasn't going to trouble the judge in the winner's circle being a professional darts player, so I had to look to do something else.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned your playing career, because I was going to come on to that. I was chatting with Peter Wright, I think 5 or 6 years ago now, about his early days in darts, and he mentioned a story about how he went into a pub and he said he wanted to join a team. He beat one of the captains, who then said, you need to go into this pub, and in that pub was Cliff Lazarenko and yourself. He said you were one of the best youth players at the time. Do you recall that first time meeting with Peter?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Pete come, I don't even know how old he was. I don't think he was 18, that's for sure. He's a little bit younger. He's only a year younger than me, Pete. So, yeah, I've known Pete since he was 15, 16. And, I recall it. He was always good. He was always a good player. And you thought that, I mean, he's one of the lads who's one of the best players in the area at the time was a guy called Ian Coble, and he said to me, this Peter Wright said he's going to be really good. And I was like, do you think so? I think he's alright. I'm not sure. But obviously, it's quite funny really. We used to play in the same, it's my dad's pub, basically, and the little Derby and Plumstead, and Pete used to come in there as a kid, started playing with us in all the leagues, and me and him used to play. There's pictures of us playing pairs, and one of them was online the other week. Me and him in a pairs competition, lost in the final of a big pairs competition. We played pairs together back in the day, but obviously I went down the ref route, and he persevered trying to become a professional darts player, and to be fair, hasn't done a bad job.
No, he's got there in the end after some ups and downs. And speaking of your career as a referee, I was reading up that it came a little bit by chance back in 1992, I believe, almost 30 years ago now. Can you talk us through how it all started?
Yeah, well, I was at a tournament one day, and I can't remember. I lost in the earlier rounds, and the referee was supposed to turn up to referee the finals, and he never turned up. So they asked for a volunteer. Did anyone want to ref it? No one did. I said, I'll have a go. So I just went up there and refereed 2 semi-finals and the final of a fairly big local tournament, nothing major. And a guy used to be, which through my playing days, Phil Jones, who was the MC for London, was actually he was there, and he was going away with. He used to be Bobby George's MC, so he used to do all Bobby George's work, all his exhibitions and everything, and he was away with his business for a few weeks, and asked if I was interested in covering. I mean, so I said, yeah, I'll do it. But I mean, back in, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was so nervous doing a first exhibition. Bobby had given me I think Maria wrote out the words I had to say, and I had a clipboard and a microphone and was shaking like a leaf. It was quite, looking back on it, it's quite funny. But yeah, that's how I sort of started off, and then I got recommended by Bobby to Martin Fitzmaurice back in there, and then obviously I knew Martin as from a youngster when I used to play. They invited me along to do a test tournament, and the rest is history, really. So I went to work for Bobby for 6 weeks and done 6 years. He's still a really good friend of mine, and I guess without him I wouldn't be where I am today. I learned a lot from him, grounding wise, and it's okay. You learn. I think you learn depending on what you want to do. You learn your trade. I learned my trade in the pubs and clubs with Bobby George. Comparing his shows and building up. You just build up a bit of confidence, standing in front of people and talking to a microphone when I guess I wasn't, you would worry what people would say back to you or what you would think, but now, it's just like water for ducks back. I think I've done it that long, like Russ has. I mean, he's got his bus pass now, Russ, bless him. But he's been doing it. Yeah, we're doing it the same. I think I started the year before him in the BDO, and then he started the PDC. But funny enough, we've known. He's known. I mean, you ask Russ, he's known me since I was 9. It's really weird. We lived in the same area, and I used to start playing darts as a little kid in one of my dad's pubs, and Russ used to play in the darts team. So that's how I've known Russ since I was 9 years old. So it's amazing that back from then, I mean, we've both gone on to be, work for the PDC as referees, and it's mad. It was only sort of 4 of us really. It's only 4 reps, and we're 2 out of 4, and we've known each other for that long.
Blimey, well, it was a fairly quick rise, wasn't it, after that, to call in at your first BDO World Championship not long after that. What do you remember about the first time calling at Lakeside? I'm assuming there might have been a few nerves for that first occasion.
100%. I was nervous, yeah. And it's apparent as well. You can tell when someone's... I mean, I watch refs now. I mean, looking back at myself, I was very nervous, Leg was shaking, and you don't want to get something wrong, and you put yourself under pressure. I mean, I guess you probably wouldn't be there if you couldn't do it, but some people sink and some people swim. I think the first year, the more, I think the latter part of the week you start to become less nervous, and obviously as time goes on, but the first your first match, well, it's just lucky. I was just sort of lucky to get through it without doing something wrong. I can tell that when I watch new refs now that that everyone improves as well. Not because I think like tone wise, delivery wise. I think that the big mistake a lot of refs make is they try to. I used to probably do when I first started. They try to do everything too quick. It's okay if you take a breath just to figure something out before you say the score. Take ages. Don't get me wrong, but the quicker the better. But I mean, sometimes they might do something that's not quite correct that you're not expecting. It's okay to take a breath and work it out. Just be right. Try to be right and not wrong. It's easier to jump in quick and get it wrong, and then if you take an extra second to get it right. But that comes with experience. I think that's something you learn over the years, just to try and do it at a pace. I think also you need to go to the pace of the game. That's the fast players. You don't need to drag out an 180 till you can just cut that off. I try to get the calls finished before the player starts the phase next half. I mean, sometimes it's fairly challenging if you've got Ricky Evans versus yellow glasses. But I think really a referee's job is to not to be the star of the show. The referee's job is just to do the scores and be in the background. And you only really should be recognised if you get something wrong, and then you get ridiculed for that, because everybody loves to do that. To get something wrong is brilliant for social media. You absolutely can't. No one says. You don't get a social media post saying, do you know what, you've done a whole tournament, didn't make a mistake, well done. You just get, you got that wrong. But that's the way it is.
Yeah, well, you make the switch over to the PDC in 2007, but before then I've got to mention the last Lakeside final that you were a part of, Martin Adams and the late Phil Nixon, one of the best ever world finals, one of my favourite games of all time. You came in for the second session with Martin leading 6-0. Could you believe you were still up there on a stage an hour later and it was 6-all?
No. In a word? No. That was obviously my last hoo-ah at the refereeing BDO tournament, and no. I mean, I thought I'd played it perfect. I mean, I've been doing it for a few years then, and when you first start, you want to do finals, and then when it get when it goes on a little, you get a bit further into your career. You don't really need to. You don't crave the finals as much, and you just get on with what you're doing. So I thought I played it perfect. I was going to get, 6-0. I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to get I could get 3 legs here. This is absolute Christmas. I'm going to get away with doing hardly anything. Long story. Well, you saw what transpired. It went from 6-0 to 6-all, and then Martin then fell over the line to win 7-6. I come off the stage and I couldn't repeat what was on my phone. First message was turned on. Bruce Spenley sent me a message. I've done a bit of work with Bruce on the WDT and the IDL. Lovely man. For my money, probably up there with the best refs ever graced the game. I'd say Bruce, for me, tone-wise, was the best. He sent me a message that I couldn't repeat, but I got a few. One from Russ, one from explaining how not to do things, basically.
What a career you've had since then in the PDC, just picking out some of the 9 darters that you've been involved with. The first one in a PDC World Championship, the 2 by Phil Taylor in the 2010 Premier League final, Adrian Lewis in the 2011 World Final, Brendan Dolan, the double in, double out at the World Grand Prix. Are there any standout moments, matches that spring to mind straight away when you get asked what's your favourite of all time?
I guess Adrian Lewis, Phil Taylor semi-final of the Grand Slam. I ref that. It was an amazing game, absolutely amazing game. I think obviously that Phil doing a 2 9s in one match, still never been done. It's never ever been done again. To be fair, Michael Van Gerwen's done it in the Pro Tour event, but that's a little bit different to doing it on the stage in the Premier League. I think. I guess that one. And the ones I've been involved in. I think one of the best things I've ever seen in darts. It never actually happens. And Van Gerwen was missed double 12 back-to-back 9s in the. I think Russ was reffing that in the World Championships. He missed double 12 back-to-back 9s. Things like that. Just they're the things you want to be involved in. They're the things that you'll remember when you. I remember. When you hang up your microphone, if you like, and you're not a referee anymore. They're the things that you'll remember. Some of the great matches and the 2 9s from Phil. Yeah, there's been some fantastic performances. Things like that. I remember the 9s, but I guess that sticks out more than anything. 2 9s in a match. That'd probably be I guess I don't think it was the best standout match, but it was probably the best standout moment.
A very special moment, and I touched on it earlier about the last leg deciders. Another of your fellow PDC referees, Owen Binks, said to mention, why do you always seem to ref last leg deciders? Tiebreak Noble, is it? I believe it stemmed from the Euro Tour for Noble, is that right?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a standing joke. I do a lot of the Euro Tours with Russ, and we used to basically toss up to see who goes first. And Russ and me are probably as bad as each other trying to. So basically, if you lose a toss and you go, I'll have to work it out. But if you either go first or second, if you go first, I think you wind up doing the final. If you go second, you don't. So you get an extra game. So whoever wins the toss always chooses to miss the final. Anyway, so I would go. Russ would. It's amazing. We do the same amount of matches, and I'd wind up. He'd do the. We've done a whole European event where he's done the final, an extra match, and I've wound up doing 50 legs more than him, which sounds impossible. But, it's a standing joke. Phil Barskall's at the Noble, because, the amount of last leg deciders, and, if the match goes 5-5 in the European Tour event, the production crew, I've been friends with the production crew for over 20 odd years, Keytown, Robert, Loon that owns Keytown and all the lads that work for him. So you have to keep your eyes on the board. Otherwise, if you used to look to the side, not a lot of people know this. They would at 5-5. They'll hold a sign up, and trust me, you don't want to read what's on the sign. So there's always something different on the sign. But if you read it, you start laughing, and then someone, the camera would be on you, and you'd be looking at you. You wouldn't be able to stop laughing, and it'd just be a disaster. But yeah, unbelievable the amount of last leg deciders I do. I just don't get it. Just don't get it. And obviously, Bray thinks it's hilarious. He always does less than me, but he's old. So.
Well, away from the PDC, you're also part of Modus. What's your role with them? And we should mention as well, they're co-promoting the new World Seniors Championship next year. How much are you looking forward to that and seeing some of the legends back on stage?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great event. If I'm honest, I don't have too much to do with the World Seniors event. That's Jason heads that up. I think it's a. I think it's definitely grown leg. It's definitely grown. It's got legs, and I think that there's plans to put it on the television as well. I believe that's looking like it's going to happen. But that's all I know. I won't be able to say any more than that. But I believe the tickets go on sale at 10 o'clock this morning, which I would expect is planned at Circus Tavern. All the big names are in it. Phil Taylor's going to be in it. Why wouldn't it? I mean, all other sports have senior tours. I mean, I know it's different to a lot of the sports, but like obviously tennis has some form of seniors tours. I know there's definitely a golf one, and I think there's probably room for it in this. People, the older generation of fans would like to see the old stars of yesteryear, and I think there is a place for it in the game as long as it's done correctly. I think I know Jason Francis is also involved with the World Senior Snooker Tour, which is also a great success. So I think between the two Jasons, I can see it going. I can see it going a long way. I mean, but as I said, I don't have that much to do. I know a little bit about it. I'm more involved in the online darts live league that's being shown at the moment. So I'll be more involved in that than seniors tour.
In quite a bit of the online league, and it's something that's really taken off during the last 12 months or so. We think back to when it started last year during the first lockdown, people still playing at home, and now you've got players playing in person, and we've seen quite recently as well the prize fund has come in for the Champions Week. I think £10,000 the prize fund, so it's something that has really taken off, and especially at a time when there's not a lot of darts going on for these players underneath the 128 on the main tour.
And that's what we're trying to do. I mean, it's a great concept for the players that are outside of the 128 and do play a lot of online tournaments. And actually the players, without going too far into it, there's obviously prize money involved, but they all get a daily appearance fee anyway. So they're paid every day they take part. And obviously the £10,000 prize fund, £10,000 prize fund has come on every fifth week now. Incidentally, that's about to be raised after week 5. We go into the second cycle for the next 5 weeks. That's going up to 12,000, and there's plans in the next phase after that to take it up even further. We're hoping to, we want to move the first prize fund. We want to move that as soon as we can from 5 to 10,000, the first prize. And really start to build momentum with it. But it's and now we've got a collaboration now with. MAD, the Modern Amateur Darts, where they're running qualifiers, online qualifiers. So we're actually going to give the winner a place in the league for a week, which is a good incentive to all the players. At the moment it's run on an invitational basis, but that's, obviously we needed, once we got the tournament up and running, we need fresh players to come through. The standard is just improving all the time. And we're hopeful that Modern Amateur Darts will unearth some more unknown talent for us. I think it's a good way, a stepping stone, if you're outside of the top 128. And what we have, we want to work alongside the PDC in relation to like Challenge Tour events. We don't have any plans to run the Online Darts League over Challenge Tour weekends or anything like that, or when it would clash. We would not run the Online Darts League, so all the players would go to play, rightly so, in the Challenge Tour, where they've got a chance to win the Challenge Tour and obviously qualify for their World Championships. So I think this is a great starting point for them, where they can learn, apply their trade and get practice in to go on to the Challenge Tour, and then try to qualify through the Challenge Tour for the World Championships. So, and also, there's prize money to be had in the Online Darts League. So, a stepping stone to the Challenge Tour, then on to the PDC Tour, is where we see ourselves, really.
Definitely, yeah, it's been good to see it grow. And lastly, I know I've took up a lot of your time, so before we let you go, the world slowly getting back to normal, what are you most looking forward to when more of the restrictions start to ease? We know you're a big sports fan and you support Millwall. Is it going to the Den to watch and play again?
Possibly. I'm probably more looking forward to going on holiday. And I watch the news every morning to see if they've stopped it. You just want to, it should be great to go back to normal. Yes, I'd like to go and watch Millwall back at the Den. It's just great to go back to normal without having to think sometimes when, I drive somewhere and I think I've forgotten a mask. Oh, I ain't got my mask on me, so you've got at least a mask in the car. Or it's just, go to a darts event, we have to, when we go to the Premier League, we have to obviously, rightly so, we have to isolate the PCR test and isolate for 24 hours, and things just things like that. But I think we all know coronavirus is here to stay. I think it's how you manage it onwards. I mean, I would hope the world goes back to normal on the 21st of June when it's said its will. I'm a little bit sceptical after listening to news that maybe put back a bit. Hopefully not. But for me, I guess I just want to go on holiday. Have the ability to go on holiday. But a full, hopefully a full crowd at the Winter Garden darts-wise. I mean, I guess that's a lot of people's favourite venue. It's probably my favourite venue. And it's great when there's a big crowd at the Winter Garden. The atmosphere is fantastic. And hopefully all the fans will be allowed back to make it a capacity. Fingers crossed. I'm hearing positive vibes, but I mean, anything's possible to change. But I'd love to see the Winter Gardens full up come July.
Yeah, definitely. We've all got our fingers crossed for that, and keep up the great work that you're doing with the PDC as a referee and with Modus as well, with the Live League as well. It's a pleasure to chat to you, George, and best of luck for the rest of the year.
Thanks very much, Alex. Cheers.